Cruise ships look like floating paradise with endless buffets, splendid theaters, and sunsets you'll never forget. But ask any former crew member, and they'll tell you a different story. Behind the smiles and service, there are certain passenger habits that drive staff crazy. Such actions make long shifts feel even longer and turn an otherwise smooth sailing into pure frustration. The truth is, most guests don't even realize they're doing it. But these mistakes can ruin not just the cruise day, but sometimes even your own experience. From skipping safety rules to overloading elevators, from tipping drama to chair hogging, crew members swap horror stories the way passengers swap holiday photos. So today, we're pulling back the curtain on the 15 things passengers do that cruise crew secretly hate. Some may surprise you, others might sound uncomfortably familiar. But once you know them, you'll never look at cruising the same way again. Let's plunge head first with habit number 1. Treating crew like personal servants. Cruise crew are trained to provide top-notch service, but some passengers take this way too far. They'll snap fingers, bark orders, or even expect crew to drop everything instantly, whether it's fetching extra towels at 2 a.m. or rearranging deck chairs while juggling a tray of drinks. What most passengers don't realize is that each crew member often has multiple roles and dozens of guests to look after. They're not just waiting around for one person's every whim. For example, your cabin steward may be responsible for up to 20 cabins, meaning they're balancing laundry requests, restocking supplies, handling complaints, and making sure everything runs smoothly. When one passenger treats them like a butler, it slows down service for everyone else. Former crew members say that polite passengers who treat them with respect almost always get better service, and sometimes even little extras like quicker room turnaround or inside tips on events. The truth is, kindness goes a long way on a ship where everyone is working 12 to 14 hours a day. Habit number 2. Ignoring hygiene rules at the buffet. Nothing makes cruise crew cringe more than watching passengers break the most basic buffet rules. Think grabbing food with bare hands, reusing the same plate for multiple trips, or letting kids run wild touching every dessert with sticky fingers. On land, it's gross. At sea, it can be dangerous. One norovirus outbreak can ruin an entire cruise for thousands of passengers, and it almost always starts with careless behavior around food. Crew are trained to sanitize constantly, and you'll notice hand sanitizer stations at every entrance to dining areas. Still, countless passengers walk right past them or roll their eyes when asked to use them. Former buffet staff say it's one of their biggest headaches. Imagine having to remind adults, not just kids, about basic hygiene. The irony is, the same passengers who complain about getting sick on a cruise are often the ones ignoring these precautions. If you want to stay in the cruise good books and avoid spending your vacation locked in your cabin with stomach cramps, wash your hands and follow the food rules. The next habit has to do with sun loungers. Habit number 3. Hugging sun loungers for hours. Deck chairs are one of the hottest commodities on a cruise ship, especially on sea days when everyone flocks to the pool. But nothing frustrates crew more than passengers who wake up early, throw a towel or flip-flop on a lounger, and then disappear for hours. This chair hogging means other guests have nowhere to sit, and crew end up playing referee when arguments break out. Some cruise lines have actually introduced chair police. These are staff who monitor loungers and remove belongings if nobody returns within 30 minutes. But enforcing it is tough, and crew often bear the brunt of passenger anger. They're stuck in the middle, dealing with furious guests who can't find chairs, while also facing complaints from chair hogs whose items were moved. Former pool staff say they secretly cheer when considerate passengers call out this behavior, because it spares them from doing it. The truth is, if you're not going to use the chair, don't reserve it. Crew have enough on their plate without policing towels and sandals. Our big advice is to head to the upper decks or forward areas. Crew say those spots almost always have open loungers, even when the pool looks packed. Habit number 4. Complaining about rules they already agreed to. Every passenger signs off on cruise policies before boarding, whether it's dress codes, smoking areas, or muster drill attendance. But that doesn't stop some guests from acting shocked or outraged when rules are enforced. Crew constantly deal with passengers who argue about wearing formal attire in the dining room or who light up cigarettes outside of designated areas and then throw a fit when asked to stop. From the crew's perspective, this is one of the most tiring behaviors because they're just following company policies that keep everyone safe and comfortable. For example, muster drills are mandatory by law, yet crew often have to chase down passengers who treat them as optional. Not only does this delay the entire ship's departure, It puts lives at risk if an emergency occurs and those passengers don't know the safety procedures. Former staff admit that they secretly hate these confrontations most of all because they know the rules are clearly stated in cruise documents, daily newsletters, and even announcements. The reality is, cruise ships are floating cities, and rules exist for a reason. Passengers who follow them make life smoother for both crew and fellow travelers. The next bad habit has to do with absorbing all the booze. Habit number 5. Overindulging in alcohol. Cruises are famous for unlimited drinks packages and poolside cocktails. But some passengers take it way too far. Drunk guests stumbling through hallways at 2 a.m., getting loud at shows, or even picking fights with other passengers are a nightmare for crew. Not only does it disturb everyone else's vacation, it often puts staff in dangerous situations. Bartenders and waiters are trained to cut people off, but it's not always easy, especially when intoxicated passengers become aggressive. Security staff say they've had to break up brawls, escort drunk guests back to their cabins, and even arrange medical care for alcohol poisoning. Former crew members admit that dealing with rowdy, drunk passengers is one of the most stressful parts of the job because it can escalate quickly. Passengers who stay within limits not only avoid embarrassing themselves, but they also win huge respect from staff. If you want the crew to genuinely enjoy serving you, keep your drinking fun but under control. Speaking of control, the next habit has to do with your level of organization in the cabin. Habit number 6. Leaving cabins in a disaster state. Cabin stewards are some of the hardest working crew on board. They clean dozens of rooms every single day, often in tight turnaround windows. But some passengers make this job nearly impossible by leaving their cabins looking like a hurricane hit them. We're talking food left on the carpet, clothes thrown everywhere, wet towels piled on the floor, and trash scattered across every surface. Former stewards say that walking into certain cabins can feel like stepping into a garbage dump. And the worst part is that those same guests are usually the ones who complain if service isn't lightning fast. The truth is, the messier the room, the longer it takes to clean, which means other passengers down the line may get delayed service too. It doesn't mean your cabin needs to look hotel ready when you leave, but simple habits like putting trash in bins, hanging towels, and not leaving room service plates rotting on the balcony make a world of difference. Want to be remembered fondly by your steward? Don't treat your cabin like a frat house. Habit number 7. Sneaking food and drinks into cabins. Most cruise lines have strict rules about bringing food and drinks from the buffet or bars back into cabins, and for good reason. Leaving plates of food in rooms attracts pests, creates unpleasant smells, and makes extra work for cleaning staff. Still, many passengers think they're being clever by sneaking full meals into their cabins. Crew members say it's not uncommon to find half-eaten burgers stuffed in drawers, pizza slices under beds, or melted ice cream cups dripping down balcony doors. It's not just gross. It can also lead to serious sanitation issues on board. Ships are closed environments, and keeping hygiene under control is a constant battle. When passengers ignore rules and treat their cabins like a late-night diner, crew are the ones left to deal with the mess. Former crew members admit they secretly hate this habit the most when it comes to families. Parents often let kids carry food back without thinking about the cleanup, which usually means sticky carpets, chocolate handprints on walls, and spills that take ages to scrub out. If you're hungry late at night, use room service. It's included on many ships, and it doesn't create headaches for staff. Speaking of headaches, those who create them for staff during entry and exit days are especially disliked. Habit number 8. Being rude during embarkation and disembarkation. Getting thousands of people on and off a cruise ship is no small task. Crew work hard to keep embarkation and disembarkation as smooth as possible, but passengers who lose patience make it far worse. Some guests yell at staff when lines are long, ignore instructions about where to wait, or even shove past others in a rush to get to their cabins or off the ship first. Former crew say these moments are some of the most stressful of the entire cruise. Staff are trying to juggle customs, luggage, security, and guest flow all at once, and when a passenger explodes at them, it throws the system off. What most people forget is that delays are usually caused by port authorities or security procedures, not the crew. Conversely, passengers who follow instructions almost always get through faster. They're the ones who get genuine smiles and maybe even little insider tips for their next port. Habit number 9. Taking crew for granted. One of the things that stings most for crew is when passengers don't even acknowledge them as people. Many staff leave their families for months at a time, working 12 to 14 hours a day, 7 days a week. A simple smile, thank you, or even learning someone's name can mean the world. But too often, crew say passengers rush past them as if they're invisible. or worse, speak to them with open rudeness. Former crew say one of the most disheartening parts of the job is when passengers treat them like robots who exist solely to serve, whether it's ignoring greetings in the hallway or never looking up from their phone when ordering a drink. This behavior wears staff down quickly. Guests who do better get preferential treatments, and rightly so. The next habit has to do with safety instructions. Habit number 10, ignoring safety instructions. Safety is the single most essential responsibility on a cruise ship, but some passengers act like the rules don't apply to them. Crew constantly deal with guests who skip life jacket demonstrations, climb on railings for selfies, or send their kids running wild on decks where accidents can happen in seconds. Former safety officers say these situations are what they secretly hate and fear the most. A single reckless move can put both the passenger and the crew in danger. For example, people leaning too far over balconies or ignoring no entry signs in restricted areas create emergencies that staff then have to risk their own safety to resolve. Speaking of resolving issues, it's less fun and games when it involves cultural differences. Habit number 11, disrespecting cultural differences. Cruise ships are floating melting pots. Crew often come from 50+ different countries, bringing a wide range of cultures, religions, and customs on board. Unfortunately, some passengers completely ignore this. Former crew say they've been mocked for their accents, pressured to eat foods against their beliefs, or forced into awkward conversations about politics or religion they'd rather avoid. This kind of behavior wears staff down because many already face homesickness, long contracts, and limited time off. Passengers who dismiss or disrespect their culture just make the job harder. Even small comments like "your English isn't good" or "where are you really from" get old very fast. Habit number 12, overloading elevators. With thousands of passengers trying to get around the ship, elevators are always in high demand. But nothing frustrates crew more than people who crowd in when it's already packed, hit multiple random buttons for fun, or use lifts for short one-deck trips while elderly guests or staff carrying heavy equipment are left waiting. Former crew recall situations where they were hauling cleaning carts, trays stacked with dishes, or even laundry bags larger than themselves only to have impatient passengers squeeze in, making the ride unsafe. Worse, some guests press every floor button as a joke, leaving the crew stuck wasting time they don't have. Staff secretly cheer when passengers take the stairs for short trips or let crew with equipment use the elevator first. It's not about inconvenience, it's about efficiency. The next habit is about tipping. Habit number 13, tipping poorly or not at all. Tipping is a sensitive subject on cruises, but for crew, it's a lifeline. Many staff rely heavily on tips to supplement low base salaries, and service charges are often pooled across departments. However, some passengers deliberately remove gratuities, either because they don't believe in tipping or because they want to punish the crew for something minor. Former waitstaff say it's disheartening when guests rave about excellent service all week but then slash tips at the end. Others recall passengers who demand above and beyond service, special meals, endless requests, late-night favors, only to leave nothing in return. Guests who tip fairly, and sometimes a little extra, get remembered warmly, and it's not uncommon for crew to go the extra mile for them throughout the trip. Habit number 14, being disrespectful during shows and announcements. Entertainment is a huge part of cruising, and crew put in hours of rehearsal to make shows spectacular. But nothing ruins the effort faster than passengers who talk loudly, use phones, or walk in and out during performances. Former theater staff say it's especially frustrating because the entertainment team is trying to create a Broadway-level experience, and it's annoying when people treat it like background noise. The same goes for announcements. Whether it's safety briefings, port updates, or schedule changes, crew make announcements for a reason. Still, many passengers talk right through them, then complain later about not knowing what was going on. Staff admit that this behavior gets under their skin because it shows a lack of respect for both the performers and the practical running of the ship. To win instant favor with the crew, give performances your full attention and stay quiet during announcements. It shows appreciation for the work behind the scenes, and it makes life smoother for everyone. This brings us to the final habit that crew members frown upon: unnecessary special treatments. Habit number 15. Expecting special treatment without reason. Finally, one of the biggest crew pet peeves are passengers who think rules don't apply to them. These guests expect to skip lines, demand free upgrades, or insist they deserve better service because they paid good money. Former crew say they've encountered passengers trying to bribe their way into VIP areas, sneaking into crew-only zones, or demanding perks meant for loyalty members. This behavior not only frustrates staff but also slows down service for everyone else. Crew are trained to provide equal treatment, and bending rules for one demanding passenger often creates chaos. Worse, it places staff in uncomfortable situations where saying no leads to arguments. Passengers who respect boundaries, follow procedures, and appreciate what's already included in their fare are remembered as the easiest and most pleasant guests to serve. Meanwhile, those who push for endless exceptions earn eye rolls behind the scenes. So there you have it, 15 passenger habits that cruise crews secretly hate. From chair hogging to skipping safety rules, these behaviors make life harder for the very people working tirelessly to give you a dream vacation. The truth is, a little courtesy and common sense go a long way at sea. Treat the crew with respect, and not only will your cruise run smoother, but you might just get a few insider perks along the way. So, which of these habits did you find more relatably annoying? Let's know in the comments. Also, share this with a friend planning their first cruise, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more insider cruise tips. Sail safely.